Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Homegrown Musician. So this is going to be the last major episode in my mini-series on how to read basic music notation, so make sure you check out the other two episodes about pitch and meter in the link below. And whilst you're down in the description, make sure to have a look at the free worksheet that I've provided to help guide you through today's lesson. So, today's episode is going to be all about rhythm. Now if you cast your mind back to last episode, or if you give it another really quick watch, you'll remember that I said that music's temporal, so that it's time-based, and then I was talking about time signatures. So I'm not going to go back over that because obviously I've already made a video on it, but now we're talking about the nitty-gritty, the really specific rhythms. So when are the drums supposed to play? When's the guitar supposed to play? When are the singers supposed to come in, etc, etc. So that's what rhythm tells us in music. So how rhythm works isn't too complicated, but it's one of those things that's much better heard than explained. So I'm going to go through the theory now, but make sure to stick around to the end of the video and I'll put it into practice. So to give you a quick hypothetical example, say we've got a piece of music in 4/4. We know that that piece of music has 4 beats per bar, but what we don't know is when we are supposed to be playing and when we aren't supposed to be playing. So rhythm just divides those beats up for us and tells us what we're supposed to do on each one. Are we playing? Are we silent? That's all it's about. So we're going to continue this example in 4/4, and I'm going to show you how to break down a bar of music using rhythm. So as I'm sure you're all really happy to find out, it's basically just maths. Woo! Okay, so to show you rhythmic division in music, I'm going to take a full bar's worth of playing. So this note here, a semi-breve, indicates that you take whatever pitch and you play it for the full length of the bar. So it's worth 1. So the first thing to do is split it in half, and that gives us more rhythmic options. Now these are known as minims. You split those in half and you get quarter notes or crotchets. Do you remember I mentioned those last episode? You split those in half and you get quavers or 1/8 notes, and you split those in half and you get 16th notes or semi-quavers. So I'm sure you can see the pattern starting to emerge. So you can keep this going, but to be honest, there's not really much point past about 64th notes, because otherwise you have about 1 billion in a bar. Well, actually no, you'd have 64, but whatever. So now I'm going to show you how a rhythm tree sounds. So I'm going to set a metronome off in 4/4, and I'm going to grab a load of percussion instruments and play through each layer of the rhythm tree to show you how it divides the bar. So this rhythm tree is referring to notes when we're playing, but you don't always play in music, and that's called resting. So luckily, resting works in exactly the same way. The symbols are just slightly different, so you know the difference between the two. So here's notes when you're playing, and here are their resting counterparts. So as I'm sure you can see, the stems or the tails indicate the length of a note. So notes with no stems or no flicks on their stems are longer, so like semi-breves, whereas semi-quavers have a full stem and 2 flicks on it. And that indicates that they're to be played quicker or that they're shorter in length. So rhythm trees are great and they're awesome for explaining theory, but if every song just used those rhythms in that order, they get really boring really quickly. So we like to spice things up by putting rhythms in different places and mixing and mashing them together. Speaking of spice, I'm going to explain this the only way I know how, by making food dance. So I was scrolling through Instagram and I found this graphic. By the way, follow me at Homegrown Musician. And it is literally the best thing ever for explaining rhythms. I didn't personally create it, so I'll link to the original creator, or at least the page that I found it on below. So as you can see, it's taking food names that you're definitely already going to know, and it perfectly explains this idea of taking rhythms from the rhythm tree and putting them together to create new ones. So here's a bar of music that I've made using the rhythms from this chart, and I've put the food names below them, so hopefully you can hear it a bit more clearly. So if you haven't fully understood the concept yet, that's not a problem. I'll just go through it briefly again now. So how rhythm in music works is if you see one bar of music as one whole, which it is, all of the individual rhythms, both playing and resting, need to add up to 1. So if we take this example, we have 2 quarter notes and 4 1/8 notes, which if you add them together will equal 1, so we know this is a full bar. If there were rests, they would also be included. So the next step is to start counting out your pulse and internalising it, which I talked about last episode. So for this example, we're in 4/4 at 120 beats per minute, so you'd start counting that out. So again, the other musical instruments will be giving you a lot of cues, so it's not like you're going to need to start at the drop of a hat. But if you are starting a song, you've either just got to remember what tempo to play it at, or use a metronome to help you keep in time. So once you've internalised your pulse and you're at the right tempo and you're counting in the right time signature, you've got to sort of imagine an invisible cursor that passes across the music, and you need to play or rest as that passes across the notes. This probably sounds like quite an abstract concept and it might not make a lot of sense at the minute, so that's why I've put a real cursor in to help us out in these examples. So if you are a bit stuck, just bear with me and I'm sure after an example or two it will make perfect sense. So let's go through this one. Apple pie, grape, soda. Apple pie, grape, soda. Okay, so on to the next one. Hot dog, apple pie. Hot dog, apple pie. And for the last one that I'm going to go through, grape, soda, avocado toast. Grape, soda, avocado toast. So just like with pitch, it's all about practice. You're not going to remember overnight which flick and which stem and whatnot means what. So you've got to come back, you've got to do rhythmic exercises, and you've got to be practicing all the time, and eventually it'll just become second nature. Okay guys, so this is the end of the episode, and it's also the last major part in our mini-series about how to read basic music notation. So we've got pitch, we've got meter, we've got key signatures, and we've got rhythm. So now if we put all of them together, we could read a basic piece of music, which is what we're going to do in the last episode. Remember to like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed, tell me if you didn't, and let me know what you want to see next. Also, look out for my Instagram and Facebook pages too.